Hi there, this is Josh from Literary Gladiators, and today I'm here with a book review. The book that I'm going to be reviewing is a selection from a Goodreads book club that I am a member of. The group is called Diversity in All Forms, and Mariah, who is the administrator, does a fantastic job putting it together. She's so diligent with getting everything organized and taken care of and sending out polls. And in particular, she was, for the month of October, I'm not sure what I think it was Indigenous people was the theme. The book that, the book club selection for October was for a graphic text called They Called Us Enemy by George Takei, which George Takei is known most for his role as Hikaru Sulu, Lieutenant Hikaru Sulu, who became a lieutenant commander and then a captain in the Star Trek series, the television series, and in the 6 films. But this story concentrates on and examines his childhood, and in particular, growing up during the Second World War, when, as a Japanese American living on the West Coast with his parents and his younger brother and sister, they were forced to evacuate into a concentration camp. Because any Japanese person, be it a Japanese-born citizen or someone that has become a Japanese American citizen, a Japanese descendant that was born in America, everybody, people of that nationality or ancestry were seen as a threat following the attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. And Franklin D. Roosevelt has been hailed as one of the greatest American presidents of all time, but this in particular has been seen as his greatest failure because it was essentially unconstitutional to take American citizens and force them into an imprisonment because first they were restricted and their rights were taken away from them. They had to stay in a certain area. They couldn't go 5 miles within their living quarters or working quarters, and they had curfews. And it was very reflective of the steps that were taken with the Jewish people in Nazi-occupied territories. The major difference is that it thankfully, never got serious, and I don't think it ever intended to get serious. Because the extent of it was they were in the concentration camps, and anybody that got too carried away with their protests or proved to be an aggressor, the guards would arrest them and hold them in the stockades. It never got to the point with Jewish people, if they did anything that was seen as out of line, a Nazi guard would just come up to them and shoot them dead. Never got to that point, thankfully. And I know that in one section, George Takei curiously touches one of the guards' his gun, and he burns his hand, and he just says, "See, that's what happens when you do that," and then lifts him up on the train. "There you go, kiddo." And they looked very threatening, and I think they would make a move if there was any exterior threat, uh, but it wasn't as severe. But at the same time, they could have been treated so much better, and this is seen in the several tests that were taken on their citizenship. First, it was whether or not they would be willing to fight on the American side, which, in a way, it's just it's very conceited that you would not treat them as equal citizens, but at the same time expect them to take on roles that citizens would. And then also the idea of, and then finally giving them the opportunity to renounce their citizenship, which, at the same time, when you have these serious, heavy-handed situations, Takei does a great job also talking about the lighthearted moments, because he was only between the ages of 5 and 8 years old when everything was taking place, or I think 4 and 8, because it was, I don't know if it was before his 5th birthday, but he talks about shouting the kinds of candies that he wants the guards to throw down to him, and then this certain term that's supposed to be suggestive. He also talks about his experiences of meeting Santa Claus, but this Santa Claus turns out being Japanese. He's not the real Santa Claus that he saw in the mall. He talks about all of these experiences that he saw from his perspective, but he only began to realize when he was going to school and his teacher referred to him by a racial slur. And then he starts in his conversations with his dad. He hones in on that too. While Takei seems to he'll sometimes hop forward for a split second to clarify something. Most of this piece takes on the general sequence of beginning to end. And he also talks about his rise to fame, but he doesn't do it too much. And when he does do it, he always ties it into the core message at hand, which has to do with his Japanese ancestry, which George Takei, with his acting platform, has been very active in social issues, in particular Japanese and Japanese American issues. He founded the Japanese American National Museum, which I remember he was one of the participants on an episode of a short-lived game show called Wanna Bet, where they made bets on whether or not somebody could engage in a particular task, and he ended up winning that episode, and that was the cause that he donated his money to and invited everybody to come along. And that has been a passionate issue of his, the Japanese American National Museum in Los Angeles, and he's also passionate about LGBTQ plus rights, because he himself is openly gay and happily married to his hubby, Brad, who makes appearances in this piece as well as time progresses, but in the present day. But the thing that was great about this graphic text is that Takei tells this as if this could be any Japanese American person that was affected by the evacuation and forced residency in the concentration camps. The way that he told it, it could have been anybody, and I like that because George Takei says that this is a Japanese American person put in this situation, and he just happened to follow the path that he did. And I love that. I think that he was telling his story, and in turn telling the story of so many others. And I think that's so meaningful. And we, not having to endure this, we are able to learn something and learn about this heinous situation and develop a greater understanding of what took place, because I knew about what happened, and it really presented a detriment to FDR's legacy. One of the best things about what I got out of this piece as well is that George Takei really lays out what it means to be American. Being an American is not fulfilling a physical appearance or a particular nationality or an ancestry. America is that idea of being able to achieve what you long to if you put the effort and the hard work and whatnot into it, and that it doesn't matter if you were born within the country or if you immigrated to the country and fulfilled these ideals. That's what it means to be an American. And if you are willing to abide by the rules and fulfill the rights that you have, that's what it means to be an American. It takes on so many different faces and appearances. I cannot give this anything but a 5 out of 5. I think that the way that people are looking at Night by Elie Wiesel, I think that people are going to look at They Called Us Enemy by George Takei, because he gives us that honest occurrence of what happened during the detainment of West Coast Japanese American citizens in the concentration camps, plus adds honest moments of entertainment that it just makes for a brilliant finished product. I think that this is an extraordinary and an important piece. Thank you for tuning into this video. I hope you check out some more videos from our channel. I hope that you give this video a good old like. I hope you leave a comment so that we can talk a little bit more about this. And if you like what you see, I hope you subscribe if you have yet to do so. Thank you for tuning in, and for now, keep reading.